Phasmophobia is a fantastic game. I feel like I need to say that right off the bat due to how negative the title and thumbnail for this video might come across. We will be discussing the game's shortcomings, because it absolutely has them, and how those shortcomings could be improved, but I want to be perfectly clear from the beginning that I absolutely adore Phasmophobia. All that I ask of you is that you stick around with an open mind and hear me out, and maybe subscribe if you like what you see. I know the year's almost over right now, so getting to a subscriber goal by the end of December really isn't gonna happen, but if we can get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of January, I'll be sure to do something a little special for you. And be sure to leave me a comment with suggestions about what I should do if we manage to hit that goal. So, subscribe! Oh, and I probably shouldn't have to say this, but since this is YouTube, please try to remember that everything in this video is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with my opinions, and you are more than welcome to voice your own in the comments or in a separate video of your own. But please don't try to act like I'm wrong or stupid just because your opinion doesn't show up here. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about what exactly it is that Phasmophobia gets wrong. Phasmophobia is a first-person online multiplayer game where a team of you and up to 3 other friends or internet strangers become ghost hunters and travel to different locations around the continental US of A to investigate reports of ghostly hauntings. You use the equipment real ghost hunters use in real life, such as thermometers and EMF meters, and weed, to explore suburban houses, remote farms, abandoned schools, and asylums looking for evidence of the paranormal. The cherry on top of this game that changes it from a quirky, niche horror game into a totally unique horror experience is the absolutely phenomenal sound design. Every breath in your ear, each one of your steps, every creak of the house has the potential to scare the bejesus out of you. Yes, the ghosts can kill you, but you're not really afraid of dying, per se, though dying does still suck. But the sound design alone makes you terrified to experience anything even close to being killed by a ghost. A phantom showing up in a room, even if it's completely harmless, is still pants-shittingly terrifying. Low, because I have my ambient volume turned up high. Oh my fuck! Okay, alright, that's enough for me. Mix in the proximity chat you see in games like VR chat, as well as some simple voice recognition, and suddenly you feel much more closed off, immersed, and isolated in each environment, even if it's just a one-story suburban home. You can only chat locally with your teammates if you're close by, and you can hear them slightly muffled through walls if you're close enough, or if they just scream really loudly.
Door's straight up locked.
Yeah.
You do have a walkie-talkie on you at all times, which you press B to use, to communicate over comms when you're not close enough. It's a very immersive experience and supports VR, which I'm too chicken and motion sick to try out myself. The goal of each investigation is to locate and identify the type of ghost that is haunting each location, and there are a few aspects of this process outside of going into the location to get spooked that I'd like to discuss. The first of these aspects is the progression system. Phasmophobia's progression system is comprised of 2 smaller parts, its leveling system and its currency system. Each time you complete an objective in an investigation, you'll gain both experience and money, with harder difficulties earning you multipliers on both. You'll gain access to larger locations and more advanced equipment, as well as unlock those harder difficulty modes automatically as you increase in level. This system is all well and good, but there is one big issue I have with this system. And to tell you about it, let's play a quick little game I like to call
I've played Phasmophobia for almost 22 hours as of the taping of this video. What level do you think I am?
Now, 22 hours is a good chunk of time. If I were playing Pokemon, I'd likely have nearly completed the game by now with multiple Pokemon over level 40. If I were playing Overwatch, I could probably be nearing my first promotion, or whatever it is that they call their level rollovers. If this was Final Fantasy, I don't actually play Final Fantasy. So, what'd you guess? Level 40? Level 60? Maybe even level 80?
And the winner is...
level 16. It took me 22 hours to reach level 16. That's a little ridiculous. I might be over-exaggerating a little bit. It took me a while to become competent at the game, so it took me longer than most to start moving up in levels. But I just can't think of any other game I've played where you gain levels this slowly at the beginning of the game. The team over at Kinetic Games is using such a system not only to ensure that players are very familiar with the maps and gameplay before accessing larger locations and harder difficulties, which makes sense, but clearly they've also created this system to pad out the gameplay and keep you hooked longer, which I'm not a big fan of. But as I mentioned before, XP is only one half of your reward for completing objectives. The other thing you get is money. In-game currency, if utilized properly, can provide for so many interesting possibilities and can really deliver a satisfying sense of progress and reward. So, what did Phasmophobia decide to do with its currency system? Money is used to purchase more equipment. That's it. Now, there is some pretty cool and useful equipment that you can buy, such as a stronger flashlight, a motion sensor, or a parabolic microphone. But none of these items are strictly necessary for the gameplay, or even really all that satisfying to use. In the case of the stronger flashlight, it's actually more of a punishment if you don't have it, as this game is super dark. I can't see a gosh dang thing without that flashlight. Jeez, come on! To add to the frustration, if you die during an investigation, you lose all that new extra equipment you had brought with you, and you'll need to rebuy it afterwards. The only thing money is good for is buying new equipment once, and rebuying it again when you die. You do recoup some of the value from the items you lost, but only if you're on easier difficulties. The currency system is really shallow and just straight up frustrating. It's easily the worst thing about this game in my opinion, and there are so many ways you could go about fixing it. I think if I were given the task of fixing Phasmophobia's progression system, the first thing I would do is change the way the player acquires a new location. Instead of automatically receiving them as you level up, I would make new locations purchasable from the home base. Sure, having new locations unlock as you level up is neat and all, but it's so much more tangible if you are able to specifically seek out and purchase the ones you want for yourself. The act of saving up your money and buying access to a location you really want to try out is so much more satisfying than reaching level 6 and being like, oh, I can go to the school now. Neat. Part of the reason for this is the anticipation. The buildup of being able to afford a new location has the potential to be just as exciting as exploring the location once you have access to it. The other part is giving the player more agency over where they can investigate if they already have a location in mind that they wanted to try out. Aside from bringing extra locations under the currency umbrella, I would also do the same for any new ghosts that are added to the game. If Kinetic Games adds more ghost types, which I believe they are, and that they should, I think it'd be neat to make some or all of them secret. There would be no page for them in your journal until you encounter them by chance during an investigation. And then, when you do manage to encounter one, a blank page gets added to your journal once you return to your base. You could then pay money to research the ghost and have it added to your journal. Secrets like this would add an air of mystery to the game and help keep it surprising just when you feel like you have it all figured out. How did I find this new ghost? Was I lucky? What is it? How many more ghosts like this are there? I think it could be really, really neat. Another thing I would do is make it so that the ghost's information is not immediately added to that blank page, and would require you to wait 30 real-time minutes or something, or complete a few more investigations before that research is complete and you get the ghost added to your journal. Now, I know this idea might seem a little weird to some people. Why wouldn't you just get it immediately? You might think arbitrary wait times are stupid and would rather just get a new ghost added to your journal right when you pay for it. While I understand where this is coming from, I would argue that instant gratification wouldn't be perfectly suitable for this context, and would also be pretty anticlimactic. Yeah, you found a cool new ghost, and you don't know what kind it is until you return to your home base, but if you pay to research the new ghost and you get its info immediately, then that doesn't really feel like research then, does it? It feels like you're making a purchase from a store. Researching something takes time in the real world. Why wouldn't it take time in a video game? And that wait, aside from the anticipation building up as you're thinking about what it could possibly be, makes spending money on research feel very different from the transactional nature of the equipment and location shops. It would make the act of researching something new incredibly special, and I personally think it would be a great addition to the game. You could even tack on a research function for unknown locations and have them added to your location shop only after said location has been researched. It's a really versatile concept in my opinion. In summation, the argument that I'm trying to make here is that Phasmophobia's current progression system leaves a lot to be desired and brings down an otherwise fantastic experience of being spooked in a haunted house with your friends. Obviously, my ideas aren't perfect either, and they'd have to be playtested and revised to iron out any issues that would likely arise from them. The second thing I want to talk about is your journal. The journal contains a quick overview of how to play the game, explanations of core mechanics like sanity, and some other helpful information, such as explanations about pieces of equipment you use, photos from your camera, and all the possible paranormal activity you might run into while on a ghost hunt. The part of the book you'll interact with the most is the last page called Evidence, where you record each piece of paranormal activity you find during your investigation and lock in your guess as to which type of ghost you're dealing with. It has 3 slots for evidence and will eliminate ghosts from your pool of options if they don't fit the specific pieces of evidence that you have encountered. So, for example, if you have an EMF level 5, ghostwriting, and spirit box activity, the only ghost that will be available in your choices is an Oni. It's a very efficient system and is incredibly streamlined for its purpose. But I would argue it's a little bit too streamlined and should actually be made less user-friendly. I know, that sounds like a really weird opinion, but allow me to explain. If you strip away the creepy setting and the wonderfully terrifying sound design, at its core, Phasmophobia is a puzzle game. You have to figure out what pieces you have to work with and put them together to form an answer to the question, what type of ghost am I dealing with? The pieces of the puzzle are the pieces of evidence you find along the way, and the puzzle being finished is you guessing the type of ghost you found during this investigation. Now, if you were working on a regular puzzle and anytime you picked up a piece, the board showed you exactly where to place it, well, that wouldn't be much of a puzzle then, would it? The fun of putting together a puzzle is that it takes you time, energy, and some deductive reasoning to figure out where those pieces are supposed to go. And you feel accomplished at the end because you put in the work to figure out that solution. Puzzles would be much less fun if you were shown where the pieces go, and that's pretty much how Phasmophobia works right now. Each ghost has its own unique 3-piece set of evidence that solely identifies it and it alone. So, when you enter in what evidence you found, the game just straight up tells you exactly what kind of ghost you're dealing with. And even if it didn't, it's listed right there for you to find on each ghost's bio page, which really isn't much better. If you had to pay attention to what evidence you find and narrow down the options yourself, the dialogue between players in the act of figuring out the identity of the ghost outside of the spooky location becomes just as fun as collecting the evidence you come across. But how would that kind of a system work, you might be asking? Well, here's what I would do. Firstly, I would redo the entire evidence page. Replace the slots with checkboxes for all the different types of paranormal activity, and add other things you can find, such as salt footprints and the moving of objects, to your pool of possible evidence, since they're absent from it right now for no good reason. I've also added one or two of my own ideas for evidence in there for flavor. This checklist system is leaps and bounds better than the slot system that's currently in place. It allows players to organize their thoughts more organically, and it's more flexible too. Specifically, it would allow for players to either check a piece of evidence if they experience it, or cross out a piece of evidence if they're unable to encounter it. Now, I feel the need to point out that proving a negative is not how the scientific method really works in real life, but for the purposes of the game, there are actually pieces of equipment you can be reasonably sure you used correctly, yet got no feedback from, such as the spirit box and the ghost book. So knowing what paranormal phenomena does not occur can be just as helpful as the stuff that does. The second, and particularly important detail about how this new evidence page would work is that the identity selector at the bottom of the page would not automatically narrow down the options for the player. No matter what pieces of evidence you check or cross out, the selector would always cycle through every possible option. It'd be up to you and your teammates to use the information you've gathered to narrow down the options yourself. The act of discussing the evidence would play a much larger role in the game than it currently does now, which honestly isn't much more than saying,
She walked through the salt, EMF 5, EMF 5.
Hey, EMF 5, guys.
It becomes a group exercise and could help enormously with the game's pacing, pulling all players back to the truck periodically to discuss your options. To that end, I would also repurpose the whiteboard in the truck to act like an actual whiteboard, where people can write out their ideas and their findings. I feel like this would be almost necessary for public lobbies, but could also help private parties organize all their thoughts in one place, as well as provide a handy excuse to leave the spooky house every once in a while. Currently, the whiteboard offers information about the ghost you'll be dealing with as well as your additional objectives, but I feel like this could be easily repurposed into your journal or something like that. Lastly, as the icing on top of this new evidence system, all of the ghost biographies would be completely redone to be less clear about their identification. Instead of having labeled sections that leave little ambiguity, each ghost would have a few short paragraphs that describe its general temperament, as well as what paranormal activity it might cause, written as vaguely as possible, while still being helpful. Instead of simply listing that a ghost will produce freezing temperatures, it would say something along the lines of, "This ghost often lowers the temperature of its environment," or "This ghost enjoys making its environment cold." It's critical that each description of the paranormal phenomena is unique to each ghost, as to not run into the same problem we have now, as well as to avoid stale descriptions. This intentional ambiguity leaves it up to you and your team to decide what does or does not meet the requirements specified in the biography. Is an EMF level 3 enough, or do you need a level 4, or level 5? Is 3 degrees cold enough, or does it have to be totally freezing? It's your call. In this scenario, you'll likely end up with more than 3 pieces of evidence pretty consistently, meaning that you'd likely have to rely more on the temperament and personality of the ghost to erase any doubt from your guess. Right now, I don't feel like each ghost has a very distinct personality, besides maybe the shade, and even then, bugs or poor design cause the personality of ghosts to be nearly impossible to notice. Apparently the demon is supposed to attack fairly often, but this is a demon, and it only attacked me once. Okay. Now, I wouldn't expect each ghost to signpost its identity clearly. That would defeat the purpose of gathering evidence. But having more clearly defined behaviors and actions for each of the ghost types would help as supplemental evidence for identifying a spirit. As well, it would allow for each haunting to feel more unique, which is always a plus. A really good example of this kind of personality that does already exist in-game is the ghost book. Each spirit that writes in the book will write something completely unique to its type and can aid in its identification. Here's what the demon wrote. This is awesome. The game needs many more small details like this. Implementing these changes could make a world of difference, not only in immersing you more into the experience, but also in bestowing a greater sense of satisfaction and accomplishment when you clear each investigation. These aren't all the issues I've noticed with Phasmophobia, but they are the issues that I feel have the greatest impact on the complete experience and would affect the game the most if they were changed. All in all, Phasmophobia is one hell of an experience, and I highly, highly recommend you check it out. It's $13 on Steam right now, and I would recommend purchasing it before summertime next year if you're at all interested, since, when the game is finished, the developers will be increasing the price to reflect its finished status. So get it now if you want it. Oh, and by the way, this video is not sponsored by Kinetic Games or anyone involved with Phasmophobia. This is just some advice from a random guy on the internet that wants you to save money on the best horror experience that I've had since Resident Evil 7. Oh yeah, I completely loved Resident Evil 7, by the way. It's my favorite Resident Evil game. Maybe I'll talk about that later at some point. Anyway, those were my thoughts on Phasmophobia. What do you think about them? Do you agree with anything that I said? Do you disagree with anything? Leave me your thoughts in the comments down below, and maybe leave your own suggestions. Definitely go to the Steam page for the developers as well, and leave a comment there if you have any ideas, because, I mean, it's nice and all you want to leave me a comment, like, definitely do, because I need that. But also, I'm not the one that's going to be fixing the game, so if there's something you want done, definitely go let them know on the Steam page. Anyway, while you're down there in the comments, be sure to click that big ol' subscribe button. Boom, because I'm too lazy to put in a graphic, I just have my pillow here. So, oh yeah, hey, I caught it. I didn't think I was actually going to catch that. So be sure to subscribe. We are trying to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of January. We're just too close to the end of 2020, I feel. I don't think I'm going to get anywhere close to 5,000 by the end of December, but if this video does amazingly well, and so does the next one, we might have a chance in January. So please be sure to leave this video a like and subscribe as well. I just hit the wire, so you might have just heard a big old pop, in which case I am extraordinarily sorry about that. I wasn't planning on this being my Christmas video, but as you can see, it's worked out fine. I think this works out incredibly well with the whole, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas vibe. I forgot the name of the movie for a second. Don't judge me. But yeah, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful holiday with your family, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. Hope you're staying home, hope you're staying safe, and hope you're having the best holiday you can right now. I know I'm trying that. We got the stockings up. We got paw stocking for Cinder. I would pick her up if she let me, but god damn it, she hates being picked up, and I don't feel like getting my arm scratched today. So as you can see, there are credits scrolling by, probably right here. Probably not over my face, so it's probably over here in front of the beautiful Christmas tree that we have over here. You can get your name in that pile of credits if you'd like. It's a monthly subscription that's available for my channel for if you know you really like what I'm doing here. I know I've only really had 3 videos, including this one, that are of this kind of high standard of quality, but I do plan on doing one a month, maybe not in February. I'll give you guys an update next month about the February situation. But the point is, the goal is one of these videos a month at this quality, and probably, hopefully, improving each time. If I'm doing my job, I should be improving. Yeah, so if you want to help support me in that, help this become my job, essentially, you can donate to me starting at $5 a month. You get access to bonus videos, 1 extra video per month that's only available to people who pay me at least $5. But that is the lowest tier. So no matter what you end up donating to my channel, you do also get 1 extra video a month. And I'm trying to put a little extra effort into those as well. I was planning on getting the video up by today, but I was falling behind on this video, so the bonus video will actually be up next week, and I don't even have the thumbnail prepared, so I'm just gonna put, I think the card is up there, I think. Don't quote, it could be over there, but I think it's right there, so click that card that just appeared right there to go watch that bonus video if you are a member. And you can join a Discord if you want, and like I said, you can get your name in the credits with the highest luxury tier, and you'll also get access to a premium like lounge area in the Discord if you would like. So yeah, definitely support me if you would like, but of course subscribing is always free. You don't have to give me money to subscribe, but it still supports me anyway, so thank you to everybody who does. You can also go ahead and check out the previous video I did, which was on Hogwarts Legacy, whether or not it's morally okay to buy it. I also had a decent amount of content that I had to cut from this video to make it postable, I guess, to finish it in time, and also to make it even a little bit watchable, because it was too long, there was too much random stuff I threw in there, but all of it was ideas that I had for the game that I was not able to fit into this video. So if you're interested in anything I have to say there, let me know in the comments again, and I can go ahead and maybe we'll do that as another bonus video later down the road, or maybe even a free video to everybody. I do have an idea for like an hour-plus long video if I want to talk about literally every thought I have about Phasmophobia, so let me know if that's something you might be interested in as well. Also, I know you've probably commented about it already. Yes, my hair is fucking long, and no, I haven't shaved in a long while. Thank you for noticing. I hope that this outro looks remotely good, and I hope I came across remotely well, and hopefully this wasn't 10 minutes wasted time. I'm probably gonna try and cut this down to be less than 10 minutes. We'll see how I do. I didn't even say the hard D there. I was like, let's see how I do. We'll see how I do. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you'll stick around for next time, and I hope you're staying safe, and I love you. All right, bye. Beautiful. I want that. That's perfect.